Welcome back to Ozarks Live. Blake and I are talking episode 5 of Survivor this week.
First of all, Cami, let me say I cannot believe we're on episode 5. The season just feels like it's rolling right along, which is exciting, but also kind of sad.
There's so much going on every week.
Yes. Yeah, so we're going to jump right into it. So the first big thing that happens aside from being at the individual tribal camps is we see that the three-way shared immunity finally becomes active, which is super exciting. And what's crazy is we didn't know until we get to the immunity challenge that everyone or each tribe had found the immunity idols. So what happens is
two, but we just didn't know about the third
so
one.
Xander had it. He found it pretty early on. Shannon and Ricard find it, but it was kind of snaky the way they did it because Jeannie's actually the one that found it, and then they kind of tricked her out into taking it from her when she was away from them. So that kind of made me mad, but it's all right. It was a good game move for sure. But then the kicker is that we get to the immunity challenge and all of a sudden, so Xander says his like weird phrase that they have to say. Shannon and Ricard make up this whole kind of fabricated story to say they're saying, and then all of a sudden,
long pause.
Yeah, and then Nasir's like, Jeff, and we're all like, what is going on?
I know.
And then it backtracks and we find out that Nasir had found it the day before, and so now all the immunity idols are active, which is super exciting.
It is. Yeah. So another twist right there. So that takes us to the immunity challenge, and yellow and blue win. Go figure that blue won again. So they haven't kicked anybody off. So that means that this week, green kicked somebody else off, and they're down. They were already down to 3 people.
Yes, but a really special moment I think in the episode is you see Shan and Lyanna return to the summit hike, and they have this really like kind of keen connection that they share. They Shan talks about that her mother passed away, and she had a really rocky relationship with her growing up. It was honestly one of the highlights of the season, I think. They just bonded so fast and so well. Yes. I think they also really bonded over being women of color. They talked about that a little bit, which was really nice to see. And I really hope that if they both make it into the merge, that they're able to kind of link up and maybe go far in the game. I think that'd be really exciting to see.
Yeah. Now, it showed a lot of heart. There was a little piece of me that's like, wait a minute, is this real? Yeah. But I do think it is, and it shows that they're, that people are human and that we need connection and we need that love and in relationship.
Yes.
And we don't have to always have the bullies showing up on Survivor.
And a really cool thing was from the summit hike, we got a new twist this season because every episode it feels like we get something new where they did the risk versus protect. Shan chooses to protect, Lyanna does the risk, but instead of it being a risk or protect your vote, Lyanna ends up getting a new advantage, which is called the knowledge is power. So essentially, if you know anyone or if you think you know someone that has a idol or an advantage, if you go up to them, like, okay, let's say you have an idol, right? And I'm like, hey, Cami, do you have an idol? If you really have one and you say yes, then I get your idol and it's mine now. Same with an advantage. Now, if I go up to Cami and she doesn't, then the advantage the advantage she found, just becomes kind of pointless.
Because you can only do that one time?
Yes, yeah. So it's kind of like a winner takes all. So.
Yeah. All right, so then we went to tribal council. Jeannie is voted out.
Yeah.
I feel like, they had to vote someone out. I feel like they really didn't want to, but they hashed it out for a while, and then Jeannie did end up out.
Yeah, so that's episode 5. But Cami and I kind of want to dive into some extra things. We both did some research on some interesting Survivor kind of facts.
You start.
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of research on Survivor patterns and things that we often see in this game. So one big thing, and if you've been watching with us this season, you can tell that the green tribe is kind of cursed in Survivor.
Yeah.
So I pulled some different tribes out. So back in All Stars, there was the Mogo Mogo tribe. Cagayan, there was the Luzon tribe. In Cambodia, there was Takeo tribe. Pretty much all of these were slaughtered pretty fast and like pre-merge. So Cagayan's always the one I think of. That was the first Brains versus Brawn versus Beauty season. And we saw the green tribe, like tribal after tribal after tribal. Yeah. But then what was crazy is 2 of them, made it to the top 4. So they made it really far in the game. But
so they don't get picked off when they merge.
Right,
That's really interesting.
Yeah,
too.
and so we're seeing kind of that same pattern. But speaking of that, so I wanted to pull 2 different examples of past tribe success to the end from past seasons. Because right now we're in a situation where it feels like we're almost getting to that halfway point maybe.
Yes.
And we have blue, who is still blue strong. There's still 6 of them. It's like, okay, they might make it to the end. But then on the other end of the spectrum, we have green, where there's 2 left now. So, in Heroes vs. Villains back in season 20, the Red Tribe and Blue Tribe came in pretty equal to the merge. However, the Red Tribe completely wiped out the Blue Tribe, and then the final 5 were all red, which was crazy.
Yeah.
But then on the opposite end of the spectrum, in Survivor Samoa, which was season 19, it was the Yellow Tribe and I think it was the Purple Tribe that season. The Yellow Tribe entered the merge with 4 people. So there was 8 purple and 4 yellow. The yellow, there was 4 of them that made the top 5. So all 4 made the top 5. They literally just picked off purple week after week. So I bring that up because I think that it correlates really well with this season and the way that I'm interested to see if the blue will prevail, and if they'll do the same thing, will they just kind of pick the yellow and green off once they merge, or if the green and yellow either band together or pick people from blue and kind of turn against blue, and they're the ones that get picked off, because we really don't know what's going to happen, which I think is really interesting.
Where's the alliance made? Who knows?
And then one last thing I wanted to point out to you. So there has been 40 full seasons. Obviously, we're on the 41st, and there has been 14 women that have won and 24 men. Now, if you think about it, that's 38. So you're like, where does the other 2 come from?
Right.
Well, if you don't know, there's actually been 1 man and 1 woman that have both won Survivor twice, which is super crazy to think about. So obviously, so it was Sandra Diaz-Twine. She won Survivor Pearl Islands, and then she won Heroes vs. Villains, which was kind of like an all-stars type season. And then Tony from Survivor Cagayan, one of the most well-known players in the game, he won Cagayan, and then he went on to win season 40, which was Winners at War. So it was an all-winner season. So I don't know. I guess we'll see how the rest of the season plays out as far as who wins, man or woman, but it'll be really interesting to see. So what about you? What did you find this week?
Okay, well, I'm always interested in insider facts and what's going on behind the scenes. And, you know, like, I'm always like, well, are they wearing sunscreen? And what if they get a headache and stuff like that? But there's actually a medical box in the woods that contains things like their contacts, sunscreen, vitamins, things like that. And players have to submit their own items in a small bag at the beginning of their stay on the island. And the cameras never show this, never show them putting on sunscreen or getting things out of the medical box, because they want to keep up the reality aspect of the show, right? Another thing is that contestants do have access to medicines such as antibiotics if needed, because some of them have gotten infections. And it's like, okay, I'm glad they're taking care of them, because I've wondered about things like that. Also, competitors are not allowed to go into the ocean at night, safety reasons. So, I mean, there are some rules they have to follow. As the competitors are wearing the same clothes for, in some seasons, up to 39 days, they actually have some duplicate clothing. So if something happens and gets ripped or ruined or whatever, or I read about some underwear getting too ripped to be shown on TV, so they replaced that. So that's good to know too. Contestants aren't allowed to address the camera crew directly, so that 4th wall isn't broken. However, this season they've done a little bit more of the 4th wall breaking than ever before, you know. And also, you know, it's a reality show, but they also want the perfect shot. So sometimes that requires filming several things, or, you know, things several times to get that, like walking to tribal council, you know. So those are just a few, and I'll bring up some more in other weeks. But I thought those are kind of fun things to know.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think the 2 that stood out to me are the sunscreen thing, because I've always wondered that. Like, I'm pretty fair skinned, so I'm like, if I was out there, I feel like I would just be blistered red. The other thing that I've always wondered about is I myself wear contacts and then glasses on and off. So I'm always like, how would that work? And if you see contestants that kind of wear both, it seems like they switch off too. So it's very interesting. But Cami, thanks for bringing those facts. And we'll bring more to you next week. As always, you can catch up on Paramount Plus or CBS.com. And of course, it's Wednesday, so that means you can catch episode 6 of Survivor Season 41 tonight on Color 10. And Ozarks Live will be right back.